Any luck?
Not one bite.
Thinking what I'm thinking? Kukui's! Hook up every Saturday evening with Kukui's Pacific Rim cuisine. It's an all-inclusive catch. Enjoy live Hawaiian music, keiki hula, genuine aloha.
はい、いらっしゃいませ。
Authentic Japanese hand-rolled sushi and traditional platters. Sample Japan's hottest trend, Mamakawa cold sake. Hanapa'a, Kukui's restaurant on the beach nightly at the Kauai Marriott.
Now this is what I call fishing.
Sherlock Chang here, out to discover the best-kept secret on Kauai.
The seafood butter, rock the mouth.
Atmosphere, right at Kalapaki Beach.
Prime rib is a secret. We go for the beef.
It's only $22.95.
We take the whole family. The secret?
All you need.
By Jove, I've got it!
Discover the best-kept secret on Kauai, the $22.95 all-you-can-eat prime rib and seafood buffet, every Friday night at Kukui's, Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club.
Sunday brunch, an island tradition for both kama'ainas and visiting malahinis. The location? Poolside. It's Kukui's restaurant on Kalapaki Bay. Start off with fresh island fruits and salads, juices, wine, or champagne. Enjoy scrumptious hot entrees including eggs Benedict, carved prime rib, fluffy omelets, made-to-order shabu-shabu and curry stations, assorted homemade desserts, great live Hawaiian entertainment. Where else? Kukui's restaurant, Kauai Marriott. Aloha Kauai, we're back, and with me is the general manager for the Kauai Marriott Beach Resort, Mr. Brad Snyder. Brad, aloha and welcome to Vala'au.
Thank you, Dickie. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come over and show the resort a little bit and get a chance to tell you what we're all about.
Great. Now for our viewing audience, obviously we are several months away from the opening of the Kauai Marriott, and in this case we are in a construction site, hence our helmets here for the day. Now, Brad, can you tell us a little bit about when you are projected to open here, your resort?
Well, Dickie, as you probably know, it's the date that we've been projecting to open is June the 28th, and we feel comfortable that we're really on target to that date. We've actually booked some business in July, so that's going to ensure that the construction process is going to happen on a timely manner.
Now, you just recently moved over to Kauai about approximately maybe 2.5 weeks away. What has your day-by-day life on property been like?
Personally or on property, it's the phones have been ringing. We can really sense the excitement from customers, from groups on the mainland. We can sense the excitement from the community that finally we're going to open this beautiful resort back up again. It's very exciting for all of us to be involved in this project.
Now, just to inform our viewing audience, tell us a little bit about Brad Snyder, a little bit about your background, what properties you came from, and maybe perhaps a little bit about the Snyder family.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate asking about my family too. That's important to me. I have 19 years with Marriott Corporation. Really began my career back in Newport Beach, California, where we opened up the second Marriott that we had on the West Coast back in 1976. I began as a bellman there when we first opened that hotel, and then progressed through the catering departments, front office departments. Had the opportunity to work in New York, opened up a property at the LaGuardia Airport there. I had a different opportunity when I moved down to South Florida, and I worked on a corporate regional team there. And then I had the best opportunity in my career when I came to Hawaii in 1985, and I was a resident manager at the Maui Marriott for some 3 years. After that assignment, moved back to the mainland, where I was the opening general manager at the Newport Beach Suites property, and then moved right down the street to a 500-room suburban hotel that we have in Irvine, California. And then my last opportunity, Dickie, was I had the opportunity to move to London, England, and I spent 3 years working in London, and a chance to get some international experience in the hotel business.
When you make reference to the fact that you were there on the island of Maui, you did indeed have Hawaiian experience. What was the qualifications, or did you actually seek out to move back to Hawaii and, for that matter, come to Kauai?
Well, my experience in Hawaii has really been, on Maui, was the best experience I've had in my whole career with Marriott. And we've been looking for a second property in Hawaii for a number of years now. And Ed Fuller, whom I'm sure many of you in the community have met, can attest to the fact that whenever we had discussions about another property in Hawaii, I was the first guy to call him and say, if we do land a property back in Hawaii, I would like to be considered for the candidate to be general manager at that property. So a lot of interest in coming back to Hawaii.
Now, we spoke a little bit earlier about the Snyder family. Can you tell us a little bit about your wife and your children?
Yes, I've been married 10 years. In fact, we were married when we were living in Maui. Beautiful wife. Have a 3.5-year-old girl and a 10-month-old boy that was born in London. They're also very excited about moving back to Hawaii. My little girl started in preschool. She's a Sunbeam over at the Kaloa Early School. And she's proud. She's a Sunbeam. She's in the sun, at the beach. She says, Daddy, when it rains here, it's warm rain. And I think that's made her happy.
You know, when you were doing your stint at the Maui Marriott during the years of 1985 and 1987, did you hear anything about the former Kauai Surf Hotel, or for that matter, the Westin Kauai Hotel?
Well, it opened right as I was leaving. And of course, I followed in the press the developments of the project and the fantasy sort of feel of the Westin project. I did not actually get a chance to come over and see it after it was open and operating. But yes, I had followed the progress of the resort as it was developing.
Now, as we move along, we're here in the latter part of January. When do you feel that your organization will be taking applications to not only Kauai residents, but people that are interested in working on your property?
We're going to have a pre-opening hiring activity sometime in April, and as you know, you've read the articles in the paper and have been to some of the hearings. We'll reserve one day that we will have that hiring process for previous Westin employees, and we certainly encourage all of them to come back and apply for positions here at the hotel. So that we anticipate that opening process to be sometime in April.
And when you're in full-blown operation, how many employees do you feel that the Kauai Marriott Resort will be hiring?
Well, we're trying to get a handle now on the sort of activity that we'll have when we first open the hotel, and the timeshare part of our investment here is probably come on board anywhere from 45 to 60 days after we open the hotel. So we anticipate for opening hiring that we would not open with the full staff, and then we'll gradually move in as business dictates into our full staffing levels.
Now, with the state of the economy here on the island of Kauai, and for that matter, this particular resort being shut down for almost 2.5 years, do you feel any pressure within the community as far as opening up, or how do you feel in regards to opening up your resort as far as being a part of the community and the types of questions that you're getting from the community?
Well, I don't think pressure is really, I wouldn't say that we feel pressure. We feel a commitment that, to do our part. We purchased this resort. We know how important it is to the sustaining economy of Kauai. So if that's pressure, yes, we certainly feel that. But I think we feel a commitment that we've made an investment here on Kauai where it's a long-term investment for us. And we're fully committed to help Kauai recover, and then beyond that, sustain economic growth on the island.
I think what a lot of Kauai residents all can recall, and a lot of them can remember, is when the share the fantasy, or for that matter, when the Westin Kauai opened up, a lot of people were maybe a little bit intimidated, a little bit blown away with the arts and the ritziness of the property. And I understand much of your theme will be the Hawaiiana theme. Can you tell us a little bit about the themes and the changes that you plan on your resort?
I think that's one of the, as our Marriott people started looking at this resort for purchasing, one of the concerns that we had anyway was that, hey, we need to bring some more Hawaiian feeling back into the resort. And whereas the art is very interesting and certainly has created a lot of publicity for the resort in the past, we want to bring it back to sort of a more natural Hawaiian sort of feeling. And we think that's what our guests are looking for. We think it blends into the community, into the state a whole lot better. And it's really what our customers are telling us that they missed at this resort in the past years.
You know, one of the key focal points as far as the aesthetics and the changes on the resort is the fact that we no longer have these large crashing horses and the fountains in the reflecting pond. You basically are going to have some tropical trees and perhaps waterfalls. Can you tell us a little bit more about that particular 2.5 acre parcel?
It's going to be beautiful. We obviously, we walked the property as you came on today, and you can sort of get a sense of how magnificent it's going to be. You come down off the escalators, and the first thing that you're going to see is a huge waterfall treatment. And then beyond that, it's all fauna and natural landscaping and green areas and breezeways, walkways. We think it's really going to be, a first impression of the property is going to be outstanding. And again, it goes back to that sort of natural environment Hawaiiana theme that we talked about.
The great majority of your employees that you have on property presently were former Westin Kauai residents. How many people do you have on your staff right now that's holding down this fort?
The staff that's been holding down this fort has really been incredible. And I've heard the stories about how Cioppino and some of his people and the others really sort of held down the fort after the hurricane. And the people that we have on board, I think there are some 30 associates that have been here since the days that we bought the property. Those people have been outstanding. It's to me, it's the basis of where we go from. And if we build on how excited and motivated those people are, we'll have an outstanding resort.
Now, and speaking of which, all of these employees have said nothing, absolutely nothing but good about the Marriott and have very, very positive feelings. We talked a little bit earlier about the excitement of your particular hotel, and you touched off on something that was very, very interesting, is the fact that no matter how much beauty or how much renovations or dollars that you spend on the property, what it boils down is to the people that you hire here on the property.
Absolutely. An awful lot of conversation has taken place about what the product is going to look like and the changes that we are making. But as an operator, when we finally get this resort open and running, what people are really going to remember, they expect this. They expect a nice large swimming pool. They expect the beach. The weather is always going to be consistent here in the islands. But I think what they go home and talk about is the sort of connection that they made between the people that work here and the people that live on the island. And I think that's what brings them back time and again.
You know, there's been many community members and leaders of the community that have already met you. You've been here just for, maybe just 2 very, very short weeks, and a lot of them have been very, very supportive to your efforts and to your organization's efforts. What would you like to say to the very supportive people out there and to the general public here on the island of Kauai and Niihau?
Well, I think what I would like to say, Dickie, is that as a company, Marriott is very excited about having our second hotel here in the state. And then to have the opportunity for that second hotel to be this particular resort is really, and in Kauai, is really the icing on the cake. We have made a lot of commitments to the community, and I want the community to rest assured that we understand those commitments, how important they are, and you can rest assured that we will follow through on any commitments that we have made. On a personal note, I would also like to add that having moved 4 times in 10 years, my family's never had the sort of reception that we've received since we've come on island. So I thank everyone in the community for that. And Dickie, we appreciate the opportunity for you to come on over and meet some of our people and help us introduce Marriott to the community of Kauai.
And of course, in the next couple of months, we'll be updating the public as far as how the progress is coming along. And we very much look forward to being here and sharing all the joy and excitement of opening up this fine resort and to share that celebration with yourself, your family, and your staff.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Great. That was General Manager of the Kauai Marriott Resort, Mr. Brad Snyder, to whom I think looks a lot like Burt Reynolds. What do you think? As you can see, we're standing right in the midst of what was once called the Reflecting Pond. Soon, hundreds of trees will be planted here at the Kauai Marriott, along with beautiful waterfalls that will add to all the beauty of our garden island of Kauai. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. We caught up with longtime friend and former employee of both the Kauai Surf and the Westin Kauai, Kaupena Aukai Kinimaka. We're back, and we're literally on top of the world. We're on one of 3 10-story buildings here at the Kauai Marriott, and with me is the Director of Loss Prevention, Mr. Kaupena Auka'i Kinimaka. Kaupena, aloha and welcome to Vala'au.
Thank you, Dickie.
Now, tell us what it's been like thus far, your everyday life here at the Marriott.
Working here at the Marriott's been great. It's nice to know that I'm still employed. It's nice to know that at the end of the tunnel we have a light, and come June 28th we're going to be open.
Now, I can't think of anybody that knows this particular property better than yourself. You were literally raised on the beach here at Kalapaki. You worked with the Kauai surf. You worked at the former Westin Kauai, and now you're here at the Marriott. You have basically never lost a skip as far as employment is concerned.
Well, for the last 20 years and 7 days I've been basically here on this property.
Now, what day did the Kauai surf close down, and when did the Westin Kauai open up?
Well, we closed in January of 1986. We opened in September of 1987. And during the construction, it's been a lot different. Lost a lot of my friends to other jobs. But we reopened, and for 5 years, we're open as the Westin Kauai.
And of course, that date that will live in infamy here on the island of Kauai, September 11th of 1992. This is going to be approximately 2.5 years before the now Kauai Marriott Resort opens up. What are the differences and similarities of when the Kauai surf was closed down and when the Westin Kauai was closed down?
Well, like I said earlier, there was a light at the end of the tunnel with Westin. We knew we were at an opening date. When we shut down from Hurricane Iniki, a lot of people lost their jobs. And we went month to month just not knowing. You're in a tunnel, there was no light. Marriott came in and shed that light for both everybody working here in the community.
Now, when the Kauai surf closed down, again, you had referred to the fact that you knew an opening and a targeted date as far as when the Westin Kauai was going to open up. Now, when the Westin Kauai was closed, what kind of problems did you have with, perhaps people just trying to get on property, or for that matter, I'm sure there may have been people that wanted to try to loiter the property or steal from the property?
Well, one thing we didn't have any guest complaints, but we did have a few loiterers. We had homeless people breaking into the surf tower, and all minor incidents.
Now, right now, presently, what kind of staff are you working with?
Right now we have 21 security officers, and we're going to expand from there, probably hire about 5 or 6 more.
Now, being that you are a part of the Marriott, you were one of the first former Westin Kauai, and for that matter, one of the only employees that worked at the Kauai Surf at that particular time. I can only think of perhaps Bobby Ellis, a longtime executive secretary for the Kauai Surf as well as the Westin Kauai. But when you were rehired by the Marriott at one particular time, you were in charge of this entire property.
Correct. Along with Bobby Ellis, we had Korean Peralta and Eddie Santos. We used to work for the Kauai Surf. But for the short 6-month period that I was basically in charge to protect the assets and keep everybody together. Now that Mr. Brad Snyder is in on property, that responsibility has gone away.
Now, tell us a little bit about the Kauai Marriott, about the friendships that you have gained, and tell us a little bit about the respect for the company that you were talking to us a little earlier.
Well, Marriott is a really community company, more with children. And from what I've seen, the people that they've hired that have come here, it's really exciting. I've been to the Maui Marriott for a 2-day orientation, and 100% of the people work there that I've talked to all like working for the Marriott. 80% of them work there 10 plus years, and that hotel's been open, I think, 13 or 14 years. And so all I can say is it's very exciting that we're going to be part of the Marriott family.
Now, on a day-by-day basis, you are actually in charge, and people need to come through you as far as, the police department, the waterworks, the fire department, and what have you. How have you been, what kind of comments have you been receiving from your friends within the community about the opening of the Kauai Marriott?
A lot of them are saying it's about time. The community needs to continue. Just having this hotel open, I know we're going to open with a smaller staff, and then as time goes on, as things open up, we'll have a larger staff. But it's gonna affect all the businesses on the outside, the restaurants, the Kauai chop sueys and the Tokyo lobbies, and just a lot better economically for the community.
You know, when you talk about a lot better economically for the community, I remember talking to you several months ago, and one thing that really impressed you with the Marriott was if they needed something printed, they never just went to one particular vendor. If they needed to buy some food, they never went to one particular vendor. They were basically trying to spread out the business within the community leaders.
Yes, John Wood, who's here as a project manager, instead of having one basic contractor, he'd spread the wealth out and bring in a couple companies, to do some of the groundwork, do some of the construction work.
Now, Kapena, now that the quote-unquote share the fantasy era has gone, when the Westin Kauai opened up its doors, how did you perceive this share the fantasy and this Disney World-like type atmosphere?
Well, if you want to go to Disneyland, I think you should go to Disneyland. This is a hotel, and I think people from the mainland or from other countries come here to see Hawaii. And that's what Marriott is trying to portray, more Hawaiiano, just more for what Kauai is about.
And this must be very pleasing to yourself and many of your family members, especially for the people of Kauai, knowing that there will be a lot of Hawaiian artifacts, there'll be trees and waterfalls and a lot of beautiful rocks and just different things that are indicative not only to the island of Kauai, but for the Hawaiian Islands.
Correct. They're doing a lot of history research. We have a koa canoe that belongs to Prince Kuhio. They're right now presently looking into that. Some of the artifacts that they're going to bring into the hotel and some of the stuff that we have stored at the Kauai Museum will be all on display for the community.
Now, can you relate to the audience about what do you think your feelings is going to be like? For 2.5 years, you literally been trying to keep people off of the property, trying to make rest and peace within the property and within the community. How are you going to feel when you see actual tourists and visitors and Kauai residents, many former old Kauai surf residents or Westin residents or Marriott, visitors coming into your property instead of seeing construction people? What's that going to feel like to you to see actual visitors patronizing the restaurants, walking through the lobby and utilizing this beach that you're so very familiar with?
Well, I tell you what, it's going to be a welcoming sight. If you're in the hotel industry, your census is based on customer service. With the hotel shut down, you tend to lose some of that spunk that you have in the business of hotel.
Is there, with the closing of both the Kauai Surf, with the closing of the Westin Kauai, and now with the opening of the the Kauai Marriott Resort, is there anything that you think that you learned from all of these experiences?
Yeah, stay out of hurricanes. No, it's just a day-to-day, just a different experience. You learn a lot. You learn about yourself and your capabilities. The people that work for you, you learn a little bit about their capabilities and maybe what you need to do to train.
Being that you're very familiar with a lot of people out within the community, people call you while you're working, people see you, going about throughout the community. What do you feel is the general outlook as far as, the community or the people of Kauai to welcome the Marriott people, the Kauai Resort Marriott here on Kauai?
Well, like I said earlier, people commented about the economy, but I feel the feeling out there is some of excitement. And I know a lot of people want to come here and work. We'll have positions open. I wish we could, fill the void of the 13 or 12% unemployment, but having a chance to work there at the Marriott, I think is going to be very fulfilling.
You were responsible for the hotel again before Mr. Brad Snyder and some of the higher organization people came on property. There were many people that supported you. You had constant calls and you had constant Kopena, if you need any kokua with this or any kokua with that, please give us a call. What would you like to say to many of your friends and many of the people that have supported you throughout this very, very trying 2+ years while you were trying to hold the fort down?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank my staff. I've got 21 of the best security officers I feel on the island. I'd like to thank my wife for sticking behind me because I've worked some long hours. I've walked into a lot of opportunities, which I try not to take home. And all my friends on Hopena Street and my neighbors that give me a little relief on the weekends.
Well, Cioppino, you're a great, great man, and I'm sure everybody shares that same aloha with you, and we all look forward to that day that will be a day that all of Kauai can celebrate coming June 28th, and we'd like to thank you for taking the time, and we want to just say you're doing a great job over here, and you got the respect from many of your friends and the community members out there on Kauai.
Thank you a lot, Dickie.
That was Director of Loss Prevention, Cioppino Auka'i Kinimaka. Aloha. Which one of you drivers has a limo?
Dr. Chang?
Yes, I am.
First time in a limo? Dr. Chang?
First time in a limo so luxurious and spacious.
In a world full of dreams, why not fulfill yours?
Aloha Kauai. With me is the Director of Sales and Marketing here at the Kauai Marriott Resort, Mr. Paul Toner. Paul, aloha and welcome to Vala'au.
Aloha, Dickie.
Paul, tell us a little bit about your background in the hotel business and what brought you here to the Marriott property.
Well, Dickie, as you know, when we worked together at the Hyatt Regency Kauai, that was with Marriott for about 11 years. Then I worked for the Hyatt Regency Kauai right before the hurricane, went through the hurricane and reopened that hotel. And after that, went over to the Hyatt Maui and then went back to work for the Marriott Corporation. It was real exciting for me to become involved in this project because it's the first opportunity that our company has really enclosed the timeshare as well as the hotel into one unit, one functioning unit.
Now, speaking with Brad Snyder and several of the other key members of the Marriott organization, they offered you this job over and over and over and over and again, and you finally took up their offer. What was that all about?
Well, it had nothing to do with me not wanting to come back to Kauai. In fact, when I left here, I thought my wife was going to divorce me. But since that time, we had moved, after 8 months here, moved over to Maui. After 8 months there, moved to Orlando. And then within 8 months, they wanted me to move back, as well as she was about 6.5 months pregnant. So the timing couldn't have been worse than anything else was. But the fact is now we're all here. I've got my wife Katie and Maggie, my daughter, and my little daughter Kawaii, and we're living up in Kalaheo and just having a wonderful time.
Now, tell us a little bit about what types of changes that is going to occur with the present Kauai Marriott Resort from the former Westin Kauai.
Well, taking a look at what Hemeter's design was, it was more of a kind of a European flair to the resort. And what we're trying to do is bring out the essence of the people and the essence of the place here. So we're bringing Hawaiiana through not only the physical structure, but through the activities and services we'll be providing at the resort. We want to rename all of the wings as far as Hawaiian. We've renamed our restaurants, such as used to be Cook's, is now Kukui's. We used to have the colonnades up above, which is now Alpacas. And the wings all have different Hawaiian names, indicative of the mountain structures of the island of Kauai.
Now, when we talk about the 5 different wings, many people may remember the old harbor tower, the bay tower, the ocean tower, the surf tower, the beach tower. When you talk about these Hawaiian names as far as mountain ranges are concerned, what are those wings, or for that matter, have you already named the wings with these Hawaiian names?
We certainly have. The harbor tower is now the Haupu wing. The ocean tower is now the Kahili wing. The bay tower is now the No'u wing. And the large, and unfortunately I know the Hawaiian names, but I don't know the old names, but the
Surf tower?
Surf tower is now the Kilohana, and the beach tower is now the Wa'ali'ali.
Now, one of the biggest changes that you will be doing is the reflecting pond, the former reflecting pond, a 2.5 acre former reflecting pond. What are the plans that you have for that particular area?
What we're trying to do is create a sense of arriving to Kalapaki, arriving to the island of Kauai. And in the past, you would come down these escalators, the largest in Hawaii, and come down to this reflecting pond with these beautiful white stallions, which really has no indication of what the island is about, as well as the culture and the people. What we are now doing is establishing more of the Hawaiiana artwork from the beginning point of the Porte Cochere to the point that we've actually commissioned a desk from the Princess Emma's time to be up there in the Porte Cochere, coming down through with some Hawaiian icons coming down the escalators and into more of a tropical botanical garden. 2.5 acres with walkways, tiki torches, Hawaiian music, and some water features. But it's more of a sense that you'd be able to go into there and take a look at the indicative plants to Hawaii.
And I understand you're bringing over 100 different types of trees that you're going to be planting within that reflecting pond, or for that matter, that court?
Yeah, there's at least over 100 different trees, as well as ferns, ivies, bougainvillea, and so forth. And what we're also trying to do is before in the past, when you'd walk around the courtyard, you wouldn't be able to transgress across it to the other wings, and you'd see the big back of one of the towers. Well, now, with all the trees there in the foliage, your focal point will be more of the water, more of the fragrance of the flowers, as well as the aesthetic beauty of the island.
Now, have you done anything as far as renovations to the rooms are concerned? Are any model rooms completed?
Currently, we have 2 rooms, and what we had done was the architects had come in, the interior design people had come in, and actually taken a look at what they sample room, so to speak. So, 98% of the room that is in there is actually going to be the actual guest room for the hotel section.
Now, your particular role, of course, is on the hotel side, and of course, you have this timeshare side that we hear about. Can you tell us what the ratio is going to be between hotel rooms and timeshare rooms, and briefly tell us a little bit about what the explanation of what is actually timeshare considered?
Probably to simply put it, we have 356 guest rooms and 232 1- and 2-bedroom villas, which will be timeshare units. We have what is a sales and development team, which is basically here, and they'll be selling those villas to the owners, which will be able to purchase those villas for 1 week at a time. And it's within flex and floating time. As you can imagine, we have 232 of them, and they're being sold at 51 weeks a year. 1 week is reserved for maintenance. Well, we'll have a lot of inventory that will not be used by the owners, as well as they'll be able to trade them in. What we've done differently within the Marriott is that inventory is going to be brought back into the sales and reservations department, which the hotel is in control of, so that we will be actually running those inventories. So in essence, Dickie, if you checked in under a Kaimana rate or a special Vala Al rate that we would give you, you could stay in a timeshare guest room section or a hotel guest room section, receive the same amenities, and have no idea what one is over the other.
Is it very common for the Marriott chain to have hotel rooms and timeshare rooms within the same complex?
We only have 2 other facilities that have timeshare units on property, and they're not actually connected in the same building. That is in the Desert Springs out in California, which many people may be aware of, as well as in Orlando at Orlando World Center Marriott. And there it's a little separate entity, which an actual different front desk check-in, a different reservations department, and different engineering and housekeeping department. Here we're combining all efforts. In fact, our hotel is managing and running the timeshare inventory. The only difference is the sales and development team from Timeshare or Marriott Ownership Resorts International is actually selling those units to the general public through the real estate.
Now, you worked at the Maui Marriott, and it's no surprise that the Marriott has been looking for another property here in Hawaii. What's the excitement like for many of those employees on Maui, and for that matter, the corporate offices that you do indeed now have 2 Marriotts in the state of Hawaii, and for that matter, here on our beautiful island of Kauai?
Well, as many of the people on the island have met, Ed Fuller, which was involved in many of the hearings, his heart is truly in Hawaii. He is our Executive Vice President and Managing Director of the International Division. His heart truly is Hawaii. What we're trying to do is bring more hotels and more specifically hotels that are combined with timeshares to the island, because it is the only equation that is working currently. Many of our Maui Marriott guests are truly excited about having some employment opportunities, but as we all know, we made the commitment to the Kauai residents to make sure that those people are employed, and when other opportunities happen down the road, they'll be fully excited about that. But currently, they'll have the opportunity to come to Kauai and enjoy another Marriott and the services and friendship that we provide.
Now, are there any major physical changes, perhaps, or any additions that you plan to put on this property that was not available on the other property?
Yeah, currently behind you, which is the Kilohana wing, we're going to bring the lanais out. So as far as the timeshare owner is going to have the ability to experience that lanai on the ownership basis, as well as any rental guests that would be renting a hotel guest room or the Mori inventory directly, they'd be able to have the lanais. So every guest room here is going to have lanais. That is the major change. With respect to everything else would be more of the Hawaiian artifacts that we would provide throughout the property. We did lose the Tempura Gardens. It seems that the termites ate more in that restaurant than many of the local Kauai residents. But what we're going to do is add Edo Mai, which is going to be a Japanese sushi and soup restaurant, and that's going to be in the court area. Currently, we have George Kanahele researching some mythology to actually establish a name for that courtyard to bring it more of a sense of Hawaii and a sense of place.
Now, speaking with many of the owners of TS restaurants, as we know, TS is very big within the Hawaiian Islands as far as Waikiki, Maui, and here on Kauai, Keoki's restaurant. I understand Duke's Canoe Club is going to be opening up at the same time that you plan to open up the week of June 28th. And in and around that vicinity, the Old Paddling Club, you may be doing kind of like a health and spa theme?
Yeah, currently we're anticipating Duke's to open up the same time that we do because it's going to be a main aspect of the food and beverage that we'll be able to provide, as well as a staple on the island of Kauai, and T&S Restaurants has done a great job. Sharky's is hopefully looking at opening up at the same time. The Paddling Club, which used to be the nightclub, we've decided that we would better serve us to have a small health club on premise so that our guests would have the convenience of going over there and doing some aerobic workouts and so forth. And even below the paddling club, we'll have a little keiki camp, a little area for those children to start with the day, because obviously most of their activities will take place throughout the property and up at lagoons, but it will be a nice focal point for them.
Now, Paul, a lot of people hear of Kauai Lagoons, and a lot of people know that now the Kauai Marriott Resort is going to be taking over the operation as far as the hotel is concerned. What is actually considered the grounds of the Kauai Marriott Resort?
Basically, it's the physical structure of the hotel property. So when you take a look at up where the Nepali Kai cottages are up here on the left, all the way down to where our property line ends by JJ's is the physical structure. But what we're trying to do is transcend just that, the physical property, is work with the marketing people up at Kauai Lagoons, such as South Sea Tours, and Kauai Lagoons as far as the golf course, and then whoever comes on board with regard to Fashion Landing, to market and establish and operate this as one full entity. And we've been having a lot of success as far as our ideas are going through to the operational people.
Now, when the general public out there is wondering, is there any construction going on? We don't hear about too much construction going on, but one of the first things that I had noticed when walking in is that you indeed have several of your buildings already painted.
Yeah, several of the buildings are already painted. All of the rooms have been gutted. We've actually taken inventory of what physical plant is going to stay, what physical plant needs to go. And right now, we have many contractors coming in that basically finished up the entire pool, finished up the painting of the buildings, as well as will be coming in and renovating the guest rooms. What people don't realize is this is such a large property that even when we had close to 1,000 to 2,000 guests, that's when the hotel seemed busy. Well, when you had lower occupancies, maybe 400, 500 guests, it didn't seem like anybody was around. Well, we may have 500 workers here, and it still may not seem like we're as busy as we should be.
And of course, many people know you on the island of Kauai, and you were very, very influential as far as helping the Hyatt once again rebuild. As far as the opening of the Hyatt Regency Kauai, what would you say is has the progress been in comparison with where you stand now here in the grounds of the Marriott?
I'd really say that the community involvement here to reopen this hotel and reopen this section of the island has been tremendous. And from all aspects, and I'm not just saying that from the people in Kalapaki and Puhi and Luhui, which we have direct contact with, but the people from Princeville and from Poipu have been very supportive, and as well as the other hotels. So we appreciate that. And the other things that we're trying to do is, upon the reopening, is make it more of a community event. And we're looking at doing something in September, which obviously Vala'au is going to have to be a big part of.
You know, we talk about the opening date of June 28th of 1995. What does your projection as far as your occupancies look as far as 1995 is concerned, and what is your outlook for 96, or for that matter, all the way into 97?
Well, we're looking at probably running about a 60% occupancy for the year of 1995. So we'll start out a little bit slower. However, the demand has been there very strong, so we're going to try to temper that. And then in 1996, we're just going to want to build upon that. The Kauai Advertising Group and many of the relations that they have established has spent over $5.5 million in advertising of this island. So the island demand has been there. What we need to do is make sure that we have the inventory to support that demand. And we anticipate that to go through 1995, 1996, and then our marketing dollars will kick in to sustain that growth.
Now, being that you are the director of sales and marketing, I know on an everyday basis you get calls from travel writers. For example, you have a client right now playing golf with Golf Digest. What is the general interest about the opening of this property, and what is the general interest, for that matter, of the island of Kauai?
There's very, very strong interest. I think what they're looking at for this property specifically is to make the last main push for this island. They feel that, you know, the the destination of us. We were pretty much the gateway. You come in by the airport, you come in by the sea, and the hotel was right here. Once we reopen this facility, I think that they'll feel more confident that the island of Kauai is back with all the full services, because many of the ancillary services, such as the helicopters and boating tours and the kayaks and so forth, need more bodies on the island to sustain their growth.
Now, Paul, I know you're very, very happy to be back here on the island of Kauai. You're very familiar with many of the residents on Kauai as far as the people are concerned, as well as all the sites and the things to do on the island of Kauai. What would you like to say to many people out there that have been very supportive to yourself, your family, to the organization, and then the employees here on the Kauai Marriott Resort?
I'd like to thank everyone for the help that they've given us in the past, through the hurricane and after the hurricane. And quite honestly, we were only gone for about, it seems, a year and a half, and it seems like we really only left for about 3 days. So there's no people anywhere else like the people of Kauai, and we appreciate it, and we want to be long-term residents and establish our growth here.
And when we talk a little bit about the Kauai residents, it may be a little too early now, but are you planning to do any type of kama'aina rates for Hawaii residents? And for that matter, are you planning to do any type of special kama'aina rates for Kauai residents?
Yeah, currently we have a kama'aina rate that will be $129, and by February 1st we'll be able to accept reservations with respect to that. But obviously we certainly want to establish a Kauai resident rate that will go through 1995. And we're working out the final details of that, and we'll hopefully be pushing that through you.
Now, lastly, when you look at your property here with all the excitement about reopening another property, when you look at the beautiful beach, you look at the pool, and you look at everything involved, tell us a little bit about the excitement that you feel and that you share with the rest of your sales staff, and tell us a little bit about how they're feeling.
They feel ecstatic. 1995 was an excellent month for us because we're only looking at what today's January 27th, and we've reached the entire goals that we had in 1994 within 27 days of this month. The focus of this resort, as well as the people coming through, has been ecstatic. Everyone just keeps saying, we're happy that you're going to be on board. We're ecstatic that you're on board. We're ecstatic for the island of Kauai and their people, but we're also ecstatic that we have another product to sell. And that's not only from our salespeople, but from the customers that they deal with the incentive market, within the Japanese wholesale market, and all the other aspects.
Well, Paul Turner, we want to really thank you for taking the time to spend with us here at Vala'au, and I want to personally thank you, and I want to congratulate yourself and your family for returning back to the island of Kauai, and we look forward to being here on opening day and sharing all of that memories and all the excitement here at the new Kauai Marriott Resort.
Well, Dickie, I appreciate your time, and I wear my Vala'au t-shirt proudly.
Mahalo. That was Paul Turner, Director of Sales and Marketing here at the Kauai Marriott Resort. Aloha. There is a tremendous amount of work activity being done at an incredible pace throughout the resort. Although the progress is most evident here in the former reflecting pond, much is being done behind the scenes, refurbishing rooms, preparing art decor, and restructuring restaurants. It's hard to imagine, but according to sources within the Marriott, the new resort will easily be up and running on schedule this June 28, 1995. Aloha and mahalo to the Marriott. Welcome to our garden island of Kauai. Aloha Kauai, mahalo nui loa, and thank you for joining us this week on another episode of Vala'au. I'm Dickie Chang. We are here on location at beautiful Kalapaki Beach, the gateway to our garden island of Kauai. Directly behind me is the newly opened and exciting Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club. This particular property site has gone through numerous changes in the past 35 years. In the year 1960, Kauai welcomed its first 10-story building, the Kauai Surf Hotel. After a quarter of a century, this true Hawaiian landmark made way to developer Chris Hemmeter's multi-million-dollar Disneyland-like mega resort, the Westin Kauai. Just shy of 5 years later, Mother Nature paid an unwelcome visit to our garden island of Kauai. The aftermath of Hurricane Iniki left the property closed down and its future full of questions and uncertainty. 3 long years after that fateful day, a new era has begun. Enter the Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club. So stay tuned and don't touch that dial. The Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club and Vala'au will be right back after some words from our sponsors.
Check out the chairs over there.
Nah, check the wings.
Whoa, it's time for Valhalla with Dickie Chang. Whoa!
Irashaimase and welcome to Sumo's restaurant. May I take your order?
Hey, give me one porterhouse steak medium, one shrimp scampi, one teriyaki butterfish. I like one chicken katsu, one breaded calamari, and the Siamese special. And let me check out your kiki menu for my junior boy.
Yes, I have a chef salad, a sumo burger, a large order of fries, and that cute guy behind the sushi bar.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Kauai Grove Shopping Center.
We're back, and for those of you that have just been joining us, we're here at the beautiful Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club here fronting Kalapaki Beach. And with me is the Director of Sales and Marketing for the Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club, Mr. Paul Toner. Paul Toner, first of all, thank you for joining us on Vala'au, and congratulations on your new opening.
Aloha, Dickie, and thank you very much.
Now, Paul Toner, many of us know out there that you are definitely no stranger to opening hotels, especially here on the island of Kauai. Tell us a little bit about what happened 2 months ago on that day, June 28th, which was initially your opening day.
Well, it was an exciting time. We started out with Auntie Sarah, who started out with a chant, followed by a blessing by the Reverend, where we had all of our associates that were working that day, and actually we had about 90% of our staff here for the blessing, just to take part in that. It was a very nice ceremony just to take part on behalf of our associates. Then 3 hours later, we had the Walls, which were the first guests, and they started their extravaganza. I met them up at the porte-cochere, brought them down the escalator, showing them the new garden area, and introduced them to Brad Snyder, our general manager, and then they were finally met by the Honorable Mayor Kusaka, who greeted our first guests to start this extravaganza going.
When you opened up this particular hotel, what was the feeling like with your associates, which may we clarify at that time, being your employees?
Well, the excitement was fantastic. I mean, getting everyone together from the energy rally to the first guests arriving to actually having paying guests come into the hotel was fantastic. Some people had been unemployed for, as you know, for a couple years, and they're truly excited about being back into their jobs.
You know, when you talk a little bit about truly excited being back in their jobs, I think one thing that has been tremendously received here within the community, in lieu of a big grand opening and a big bash that many people are used to, especially when new hotels open, you elected to do a different route in which the Marriott Corporation actually donated $20,000 into the local food bank, which was very much appreciated. However, another thing that you added on to piggyback on that was you recently donated $8,000 to your next door neighbor, Nawili Willie Park. What was the philosophy behind all of that?
One of the things is everyone has been supportive of the hotel and the opening, and what we wanted to do is give some money back to the community, hit people where it actually counts. You know, within the food bank, we took a look at the dollars actually go further than the actual expenditure that we had given, and also the donation, the $8,000 to Nawili Willie Park, is pretty much earmarked for children's playground equipment, so that we're actually bringing gifts and so forth to our youngsters.
You know, Paul Toner, when we look around at poolside, we see many visitors, perhaps many of them visiting for the first time. Many of them, of course, are loyal Marriott supporters. You talked a little bit about the Kama'aina market. Not only has your property been received very well with the Kama'ainas here on Kauai, but the Kama'ainas as a whole statewide. Tell us a little bit about your Kama'aina rate, and tell us a little bit about what your room chemistry is all about.
Well, Dickie, the $99 rate that we had for June and July was an astounding success. There weren't enough rooms in this hotel to meet the needs of the Kama'aina market. Every weekend was sold out, and even midweek we had people taking some time off just so that they could take advantage of the hotel. Currently, the Kama'aina market is now at $129, and that affords you a garden view, which is great for the rooms similar to where we are right now. You can actually walk out to the poolside. The other market mix that we've had a resounding success is our honored guest members, which is our frequent flyer program, similar to Premier Club and Advantage members and so forth. And that's about 50% of the hotel currently, and they're coming from all different areas of the country and really enjoying their stays at the Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club.
Now, when we talk a little bit about the fact, I think everybody out here knows, how important the tourist industry plays a role, not only to us here living on the island of Kauai, but totally statewide. Now, as far as the statewide mix is concerned, what is your forecast for the end of the year here at the Kauai Marriott Beach Club. And what is your projected forecast as far as visitor count for 1996?
Well, we originally were taking a look at running about a 60% occupancy for 1995. I'd have to say that we're going to have to bump that up to at least 65% occupancy, and that outlook looks very strong. In 1996, during peak season, starting out with the January, February, March timeframes, we're looking at some sold-out dates currently right now on the books. So we anticipate the average, the occupancy to be up in the 70% and just continue to build in a strong market.
And your sales team, including yourself, have been working very, very hard. Day offs tend to be far and few. But what is the general perception out there in regards to the travel agent or the meeting planners out there about your property as well as the island of Kauai?
Well, currently we've been doing a lot of direct mail and some advertising specifically targeting the travel agent and our West Coast consumer. The fulfillment has been going nuts. We've been printing brochures day and night just trying to meet up with the demand. So we know that right now if we get the brochures in their hands, then that will turn around with reservations coming down the line. And we anticipate that to happen in 1996.
Well, Paul, again, the dust has quote-unquote settled just a tad, being that you have been open at about 2 months. Thank you for taking the time to speak in us with Vala'au. And again, we want to congratulate yourself, the rest of the associates, and everybody involved with the Marriott Corporation to adding so much new vigor and a lot more life here to the island of Kauai. And we want to thank yourself and everyone and congratulate you, and all of us wish you the very best.
Well, thanks, Dickie. We appreciate all your support and all the support of all of you out there. Thanks again.
Mahalo. That was Paul Toner, Director of Sales and Marketing here at the beautiful Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club. We caught up with Guest Services Director and Hawaiiana Specialist Doug Chang and asked about the resort's lush garden area known as Kamala'o Kalapaki.
Well, Dickie, Kamala'o Kalapaki literally translates into the Garden of Kalapaki. It is a major portion of who we are here. It was part of the transformation from the former Westin Hotel to the new Marriott Resort Kauai Beach Club. It was 2 acres of a reflecting pond. There were marble horses and fountains in the middle, and we decided that that was not quite exactly what we wanted the image to be here. So they brought bulldozers in, they brought coconut trees in, a variety of different things to transform this 2.5 acres into what we see here. We have stands of bamboo, we have plumeria, palms, lauae. It's graced with a wonderful pond behind us over here. We filled it with koi. And it was the beginning of the transformation of this property to what you see here today.
And when your visitors or Kauai residents talk as far as the transformation is concerned, when you come down the escalator, it is indeed an extremely impressive sight once you take a look to the right that was once the former reflecting pond.
That was it. It was the first impression that we wanted. We wanted to make a statement, and as you entered into the property, we wanted you to know where you were, that you were in Hawaii, you were in Kauai, and specifically at Kalapaki.
Something I think very unique about this particular Kamala'o Kalapaki, the Gardens of Kalapaki, is the fact that you have a very unique sound system within this particular garden. Tell the viewing audience what this sound system is all about.
We've nicknamed it Racoustics. Basically, as you go around the garden, there are rocks, and in the rocks, if you notice, there are little holes. It's not the termites that are getting the rocks. There's actually a speaker in there. So as you are strolling through the gardens, the torches, the moon is up, you hear soft Hawaiian music flowing with you. It is awesome.
You know, and obviously, aside from the beautiful Hawaiian music and the beautiful Hawaiian foliage in the setting, your emphasis while opening up this hotel, especially as the guest services director, the Hawaiiana specialist, is to emphasize this Hawaiiana throughout the property. Tell us a little bit about the programs and about the demonstrations that you have here to offer at the resort.
Yeah, there is a real commitment, not only in the physical part of the hotel, but in who we are and how we provide for our guests, to let them experience what Hawaii is all about. Many things are going on here at the property. We are working with Kapukini Maka Alquiza 2 nights a week right now. We have a wonderful show. It's a Hawaiian show. One night we feature the keiki of Kauai, and another night we feature the oli and the modern hulas of Kauai.
Kauai, majestic mountains surrounding me day and night, a sight to see by moonlight while holding you sweet to my little brown gal in the little red shack. Hula, if you like to whisper I love you, it's the thing to do. Picking flowers gets them every time in the tropic climate. When you walk on a survey set, you never have talk, simply use your hands. Hula, go into your dance, do the hula, if there's anything you like to say, it's the only way you find that trip around town is fun. When you once begun, talk about the moon up in the sky, the hoo-hoo, manooka-nooka goes by. All while the boys are hurrying back to my little brown gal in the little grass shack. Hula, if you like to whisper I love you, it's the thing to do. Picking flowers gets them every time in the tropic land. When you walk on the survey set, you never have talk, simply use your hands. Hula, go to your dance, oh yeah, do the hula along the road to romance. Yeah, do the hula. Makawauia, wakaulana, legiule kapoe, okala. Ko makawauia, wakaulana, legiule kapoe, okala. Ai wai ka loa, o me hoki pa malihini, ku me hana mehe ke aloha, i kore o ka maka maka. Ai wai ka loa, o me hoki pa malihini, ku me hana mehe ke aloha, i kore o ka maka maka. Box the hands and tell the story. Uia kua mahalo, i ka nani a o ka umihi, o ia nani no ia, o ka hale i
Immediately following that, we do a torch lighting right on the beach at Kalapaki. It features chants, dances, and legends of this particular area. It was a unique and special area to our seafaring ancestors, and the torch lighting emphasizes the original canoes that came in and what they saw here when they first landed on Kauai.
Ako malay ha ako.
And I think that's a wonderful theme, especially for the residents of Kauai, and most importantly for the visitors, not only of your resort, but on our beautiful garden island of Kauai. Because when you talk about the seafarers and the canoes coming into Kauai as well as Kalapaki, something very interesting happened just last week as far as canoes coming into your property is concerned. Tell us a little bit about the Naholoka'i race coming over from Oahu to our garden island of Kauai.
We were very happy and very honored to be a major sponsor of Naholokai this year. As you know, there is the sailing race from Oahu to Kauai and ends up right here at Kalapaki. This year, as in years past, the goal is to perpetuate an art, a sailing art. You have many outrigger canoe races and regattas. This particular one features and focuses on the sailing canoes. We're very, very happy, as I said, to be a part of it this year. Hopefully it is the beginning of a long tradition here at the Marriott.
And something that one can see, speaking of canoes, as far as coming over to your property, within the lobby, right in your main lobby itself, you have a beautiful koa canoe named the Princess. Tell us a little bit about the background of the Princess and what the story is all about.
The Princess is about 120, 130 years old. She originally belonged to and was built for Prince Jonah Kuhio. In about 1956, she was brought over to the island here, which is the birthplace of Prince Kuhio. She was restored originally by Stanford Achi and later on by Wright Bowman. She found a home here and now rests beautifully in the lobby. She is surrounded by tropical plants and elevated as she is coming on a wave, surfing on a wave, and we're very, very proud and happy to have Princess as a part of us here.
And you know, as the guest services director, excuse me, and the specialist for Hawaiiana, many people out there know of your past and know your hotel background. You came and took a big challenge to come here to the Kauai Marriott, but tell us a little bit about the staff and the people that you supervise here on the property.
One of the things that attracted me to coming to the Marriott was, as I said, their commitment to being a contributing member of this community and be a part of this community. We were so very fortunate in being able to have wonderful support from the island of Kauai when we began to look for people to work with us. Out of the 3,000 plus applicants that we currently have a staff of about 375 people that working with us, and some of the best people I have ever worked with. Smiles come readily. There is nothing fake about what we do here. People are genuinely interested in the well-being of our visitors. They're happy to be a part of this wonderful family, and our visitors are telling us that we're doing a good job. They are astounded by the hospitality that we're able to share with them.
And speaking with some of the employees or the associates, I should say, that you directly supervise, be it the bellman, the shuttle drivers, the valet parkers, the concierge, and the front desk, they seem to have that same message that is want to be portrayed here at the Marriott as far as sharing the Aloha spirit, not only with the visitors, but the Kama'aina alike.
Oh, definitely. Everybody is welcome here. Whether you are just a resident on Kauai and want to come see what we have over here, coming in from Oahu, another neighbor island, and want to stay, or visitors from across the oceans. We want to make sure that this is a place that everybody is comfortable being at, and we're all, whether we're employees, associates, or visitors coming in, we are a part of this area.
And you know, Doug Chang, is there anything out there that the community should be informed of as far as up-and-coming events pertaining to Hawaiiana that you have on your calendar for the next couple of months?
Well, on September 23rd, we have the Kalapaki Fest, and the Kalapaki Fest is taken into a variety of different events. We have the Kauai Kai Festival, which will be highlighting once again the seafaring. There will be canoe races, there will be fishing demonstrations, there will be a variety of seafoods that we will have, there will be a professional volleyball tournament on the beach, and we will have a hula event. We are bringing in Auntie Edith Kanakaole's daughters, Pua and Nalani. They will be visiting with us and sharing with the local kumuhula and halau here on the island some of the traditional chants from this particular area. And on Saturday morning, everybody will get together and ho'ike, and we will have a wonderful demonstration of hula on the beach right at Kalapaki.
Well, Doug Chang, we want to thank you for taking the time out, and I want to just personally congratulate you. You seem very, very excited here on your newfound home here, and a lot of people are sharing that enthusiasm that you portray here on the property to all of the guests and the visitors, both Malahine and Kama'aina alike here at the Marriott. And we want to thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us here at Vala'au.
Thank you very much, Dickie. You know, you're a hard act to follow. Every place I turn around, there's a D. Chang on a drawer or a D. Chang on a file. And it's not my file. It's the former Dickie Chang. So it's real good to talk to you, and thank you very much.
Well, mahalo very much. That was the Guest Services Director, Hawaiiana Specialist, Mr. Doug Chang.
Aloha.
Aloha. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll be sampling some of Executive Chef George Lichty's mouth-watering creations, then speaking with the Kauai Marriott and Beach Club's General Manager, Mr. Brad Snyder.
Aloha, I'm Tricia Florence. Welcome to the Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club. Come see us and see our wonderful features. We have wonderful birds, black swans, white-faced tree ducks, mandarin ducks, and wood ducks, not to mention our beautiful, colorful tropical koi. We have more on the way. We hope to see you soon. Aloha.
G's Fish Co., Kauai's largest and freshest supply of fish, seafood, and poke.
Onaga, ahi, aku, sashimi, menpachi, ono, mahi-mahi, tilapia.
G's Fish Co.
Opaka-paka, uku, ehu, opi, clam, abalone, jumbo shrimp, kona crab, Samoan crab.
G's Fish Co.
Catering, poo-poo platters, ahi poke, taco poke, shrimp poke, scallop poke, planet poke.
G's Fish Co. in beautiful downtown Lahui, just a pitching wedge away from our county building.
We're back, and for those of you that have just been joining us, we're here at poolside at the beautiful Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club, and with me is Executive Chef for the Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club, Chef George Lichty. Chef, aloha and welcome to Vala'au.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the resort, Tiki.
Now, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be preparing for us this evening.
This evening I'm going to make a fresh island seafood Cioppino. It's going to have fresh mahi-mahi, clams, calamari, scallops, shrimp. Then we're going to finish it off with a little Jose Cuervo Gold Tequila, your favorite, Dickie, of course. And then we have a variety of vegetables, some celery, some carrots, some red bell pepper, a little bit of saffron, some beets, and some daikon radish.
Now, for the viewing audience, is this something that is on your regular menu on a nightly basis?
Yes, it is. It's one of our very healthy dishes, and it's featured every evening in Kukui's restaurant.
Okay, well, let's show the audience the first steps of what you're planning to do.
First thing we need to do is we need to start the clams and get them steaming, so this will take a few minutes. We got to start those. Get them going a little bit. Sorry about that. This is court bouillon. Just use that to steam them a little bit and get them moving.
Now, where are the clams from?
Those are New Zealand clams. They're from New Zealand Clams. We have them flown in 2 times a week, and we get those here. And we also sell those as New Zealand cockles on our menu also. That's done in sake and miso.
Now, when you talk a little bit about this being a health food, is your menu kind of typical to those that may be health conscientious, or is this just trying to please those that decide to watch over their waistline?
Well, this dish is made to appease those that are trying to watch their waistline, but overall our menu is very health conscious. We don't use a lot of butters or a lot of creams. We try to use natural sauces and things like that. Okay, as you see, they're starting to open up a little bit now. Starting to pop open. I also would like to talk about our restaurant, the dinner menu. We've taken a Southwest style of cooking, and I'm combining my Southwest California style with a Pacific Rim style with the use of my other local chefs here at the hotel, which I might add, we have a great crew here. In my 15 years with Marriott, they're some of the best I've ever worked with. And we've come up with some real interesting dishes. One of them is like taco shimi. It's spelled T-A-C-O, shimi, where I take, instead of a regular corn tortilla, you take a fried wonton and you make it like a taco shell, and then you add the seafood, the nori, things like that, more local style ingredients. So it's something that everybody out there should try. I mean, we have really interesting stuff. So you see these are opening up now, so we're going to switch over here a little bit. And we're going to start with the rest of our ingredients. I already have a little bit of peanut oil in the saute pan. To that, I'm going to add a little bit of shallots. I just know. The wind's kind of playing a little bit of havoc here on my my sauteing. And we'll just let that heat up for a second. We also feature at nighttime a great dinner buffet. We have 7 hot entrees. We have a carving station every evening. We have a saute station also on the buffet. It's a little more sheltered than we are right here right now, so the cooking's a little bit faster. Saute station. We also have a dessert bar that we feature a whole variety of different desserts that we make right here on premises.
You know, for the viewing audience, a lot of the local people as well as the visitors, many of them have come over for breakfast, a lot of them have come over for lunch, a lot of them have come over for dinner. What are your hours of operations as far as breakfast, lunch, and dinner is concerned?
Okay, breakfast goes from 6:30 to 11, lunch is going from 11 to 5, and dinner from 5 to 10. So again, we want you all to come in and check us out. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of the mahi.
And the mahi-mahi is fresh island mahi-mahi?
Fresh island. A little calamari.
So that was calamari you just added?
Yeah, calamari and some scallops. Now if people try this at home, I've pre-blanched this a little bit to speed up the cooking time.
And what is the definition of pre-blanching?
Pre-blanching is when I just cook it off a little bit ahead of time just to cut down on the cooking time. Now this is some fresh lemon juice and lime juice. So a little bit we add. And some saffron.
Now what exactly is saffron?
Saffron is a thread of a flower. It's harvested. It's a very interior of the flower. That's why it's so expensive. These people have to go in there and pick out the thread of flower over in India. Now, a little bit of your favorite. I'll throw a little extra bit in there. And let that come to a little bit of a boil and see if we can get it to flame.
Now, Chef George, the saffron is something that's new to myself. But what does that do? Does that add flavor or does that add color?
It has a very distinct flavor and color. It's hard to describe the flavor. I really can't tell you, but I mean, you'll know it if you've ever had saffron rice or anything.
And saffron is something that's found in Southwestern style cuisine?
Some Southwest, it's almost in all cuisines, Nouvelle and cuisines like that. I don't know if you can catch it with a camera, but it's flaming right now. It's a very blue flame. We'll let the alcohol burn off. And we'll add a little bit of our fish stock. As you see, the shrimp are just starting right now to cook. That's when you want to add your vegetables because you don't want your shrimp and scallops to overcook.
Now, you just added some carrots and celery?
Celery, some red bell pepper. And at the end, we'll add a little tomato concasse and some daikon and some beet as soon as this finishes cooking. And just let that cook a little bit and we'll be set.
Now, as far as your entree is concerned, what is served with the entree? Is anything, I mean, what's preferred here as far as the starch? Is it like with rice or?
We serve white rice on the side, and then we'll serve a side of garlic bread so you can, I guess, how's a polite way to put it, dip your garlic bread in the broth, because it's a very tasty broth. And that's about it.
Okay, well, the one thing that I made sure that I knew what was where is I wanted to make sure that I knew where the plate was with the fork. So.
There you go. How can I do this without getting it all over you? Wait.
Wow. Okay, great. Okay, and once again, for the viewing audience out there, the name of this particular entree is?
Fresh Island Seafood Cioppino.
Okay. Earlier, you were talking to the viewing audience out there about having the best staff that you've had as far as working in this business for 15 years. You know, describe to a lot of, a lot of the people out there know of many chefs and many people in the food and beverage department. Tell them, please, while I eat, a little bit about the chemistry of your staff here.
Well, my number 2 person is Guy Higa. A lot of people on the island probably know him. He opened up this resort years ago. He also went to Cocoa Palms as executive chef. He's worked at a lot of places in the island, so he's very talented. The banquet chef is Linda Yamada, who everybody knows Linda. Linda's done some cooking shows in Honolulu, worked around, and she's also very talented. I have my supervisors. I have Tamio and Wayne Sedang and Peter Sarsona, and all 3 of those are in their own rights like sous chefs or banquet chefs. So they're very talented. They're all very involved with the menus and writing the menus. They've just done a great job, and I hope everybody comes out and sees the local food, local style of cooking that we're putting together, and the flair that they do it with. I mean, we invite you all to come visit our resort.
You know, and for those people, just to refresh your memories out there, you know, a lot of local people remember the old Kauai surf days or the old Westin Kauai days. But for the visiting audience out there, you are essentially located right on the beach, and you really have, you know, one of the state's largest
pools,
free-flowing pool right next door. So the view here is quite exceptional, aside from the food.
26,000 square feet the pool is, and we're steps away from the beach, right along poolside, with the tiki torches and everything else.
Now, another thing is, George, is you just opened, you know, approximately 2 months ago. Do you, or are you planning to do any type of Sunday brunch?
Yes, we are doing Sunday brunch. What we're doing on Sunday brunch is we add champagne, red wine or white wine, and we also have a shabu shabu station. We have carved prime rib. We have a chicken beef or an ama ebi skewer station. We have sushi, variety of salads. Just endless. I mean, just food endless. We have all sorts of different stations.
You know,
and it's going over very well also.
Excuse me, Chef George. The one thing that I want to add as far as yourself is concerned personally, I understand that you worked at the Maui Marriott. So a lot of the, the local chefs are friends and acquaintances that you've met for many years. You're essentially back here in the islands. And I guess that is something that really influenced your menu, your background with not only the Southwestern cuisine, but also the Hawaiian and the Pacific Rim cuisine here in the islands.
Right. Well, being in Maui, I knew what the Pacific Rim cooking was all about. And then in my extensive travels with Marriott, I've learned to combine all these different influences to come up with some really super products and super presentations. And that's what we're doing here. This is my specialty restaurant. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of the people that work for me. And I hope everybody comes in and tries this out.
Now, when you talk about a little bit about your specialty restaurant, where would you like to see your restaurant at, or tell the viewing audience where you think your restaurant is going to be at in, let's say, for example, in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, or, in the George Lichty
in the next couple of years, I know we're going to be the best on the island.
Well, great. So for those of you out there, remember, please check them out, in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, and we'll hold you to that in the next couple of years, but we'll be back.
And we want you back.
I'll definitely
want
be
you
back.
back.
I've been here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner almost every other day, but want to thank you for taking the time out. And I might want to add this particular dish that we got. Can we dump a little bit more on that?
What?
Now that's a very, very, extremely colorful dish, but this entree came out very, very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, hope to see all of you out there. Chef George Lichty.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mahalo for having us, and we'll see all of you out over here real soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha, Kauai. I'm Chris Dahlberg.
And I'm Gayleen Palama.
Come quench your thirst here at Kukui's Bar, fronting beautiful Kalapaki Bay.
At the Kauai Marriott Resort. We hope to see you soon. Aloha!
Don't go away, Kauai. When we come back, General Manager of the Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club, Mr. Brad Snyder. Aloha, Kauai. This is Dickie Chang, host of television's Vala'au. You'll just never know the people you'll see, the places you'll be. It could be your neighbor, could be a friend, maybe your auntie, maybe your uncle. The gang just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you finally get caught up in the ultimate wave. Get tubed, Kauai, Tuesdays and Thursdays, island-wide, on
Vala'au.
Brad Snyder started his career with Marriott Resorts 19 years ago as a bellman. Since then, he has moved up the corporate ladder through properties in New York, Florida, Maui, Southern California, and London. He is now here on Kauai as the general manager of this newly opened resort. We spoke with Brad to find out a little bit about the Marriott's early beginnings.
Well, Dickie, you probably know some of the history of our company. Our company began back in 1927, back in Washington, D.C. as an A&W root beer stand. And the Marriott family opened up a series of those A&W root beer stands, and the business really took off from there. 1935, Mr. Marriott had an A&W root beer stand that was right across the street from Hoover Field in Washington, D.C. And people started coming into the store and buying food to take onto the airplanes when they were flying out. So Mr. Marriott got the idea, why don't I sell that food to the airlines? And lo and behold, that's how the first in-flight business first started in America. It's a pretty interesting story. But on the hotel side, Marriott opened their first hotel in 1957. It was a hotel called Twin Bridges, opened up in the Washington, D.C. area, and that really started us into the hospitality industry. And then 100 hotels later, in 1982, we opened up the Maui Marriott, which I had the pleasure of being the resident manager at for 3 years. So from 1957 to 1982, 100 hotels, and that brings us to our hotel. We could easily be around the 1,000th hotel that the company's opened up. So you can see how quickly as a company we've grown in the hospitality industry.
And speaking of which, as far as being the 1,000th hotel, you recently opened up to the public approximately 2 months ago on June 28th. What was that feeling like for you? And tell us a little bit about the excitement of the feeling for the employees themselves.
Well, I think the opening really, I started getting a little bit emotional the day. It was actually 2 weeks before our opening when we brought in all of our associates. We brought everyone in just 2 weeks before we opened the doors to the public. And we all were standing up in the porte-cochere receiving these over 350 associates that were coming to work for us for the very first day. And I got to tell you, it was a pretty emotional experience for all of us. That was a day that we all realized that this hotel was really going to come to life again. But we opened the doors on June 28th. Actually opened up to a lot more business than what we'd anticipated, which is the good news. The bad news was that it brought on some challenges that we really hadn't planned for. And we had to go out and do some additional staffing to get our staffing levels up to handle the amounts of people that were coming through the doors.
And when you talk a little bit about your staffing, you had initially upwards to over 3,000 applicants. How many employees do you have working on your property at this particular time?
Yeah, you mentioned we're very, very fortunate. We had over 3,000 people that applied for jobs at our property, and we hired at that time about 350 people. And so we really had an excellent selection. Realized that if you have over 3,000 people that are interviewing for jobs and you hire 350, a lot of people really disappointed about not getting jobs with us. But we continue to hire, and as we phase into opening up the timeshare villas, we take the first phase of timeshare villas in mid-September, and then by the end of October, the rest of the property will be open. We expect to add another 150 to 200 people to work at our property.
Are these employment opportunities, can one still, perhaps fill in an application and drop it off at the Human Resources Department here?
Well, we had an awful lot of people from our initial interviews that we actually are holding for consideration for employment. And before we would open the doors and start taking further applications, and we're really going to go back through those 400 or 500 people that we have in consideration for positions and look through those files first before we would open up to the outside again.
Now, when you talked a little bit about the good things about the resort, the good things being that you got a lot more busier than you anticipated in a quicker time, tell us about the type of people that you've been having coming through your property, aside from an overwhelming reception from the Kama'aina market. What do you find that most of your visitors are coming from?
Well, the majority of our visitors are really coming from the mainland, and they're, for the most part, loyal Marriott followers. We have a frequent travel program called Honored Guest Awards, and we're doing anywhere from 50 to 75 rooms a night, redemptions from those people that travel at our hotels really around the world. And of course, they like to come use their points and, turn in their redemptions at the resorts. So we've had a good number of those people traveling through the doors. We've had a couple of Japanese groups that have come in and have been very, very excited about the changes that we've made to the property. And then the Kauai market that you mentioned, we opened up, we ran some $99 Kauai advertising, and we've had a tremendous amount of people that have turned out from Honolulu and the out islands to come stay with us and see what we've done to the property.
You know, and Brad, chatting with several of your guests here that have been on property or that are familiar with this particular area for the past 25, 30 years or so, they like what you have done as far as including good points and the good values of, example, the old Kauai surf as well as the former Westin Kauai.
Yeah, that's true, Dickie. I'm hearing that from a number of people that have been staying with us. And last weekend, there was a gentleman over from Honolulu, and I think it's probably one of the sort of nice compliments that we've been getting. And his words where he says, the hotel sort of feels like the old Kauai surf again, the Hawaiiana and the relaxing way that the property feels. And I think that was a fine compliment to us. On our first day that we brought our associates in, we impressed upon them that we have a responsibility and we understand the tradition of hospitality and aloha that's been established here in Kalapaki Bay. And that's very important to us, and we're trying to live up to that tradition and actually carry it on in the future.
And you know, one of the things that I'd like to clarify out there to the viewing audience, when you make reference to your associates, you basically make reference about the employees. And the employees themselves seem to be very, very, very excited and very, very full of aloha as far as working within one another as well as serving your guests.
Yeah, the word, just to comment on the word associates or employees, in our culture, about 10 years ago, we decided that people don't work for us, they work with us. And because of that sort of philosophy that our company has, we decided to use the word associates rather than employees, and we feel that that connotes a partnership that maybe employees would not connote. So that's the reason we use that word associates. But I got to tell you, I have 19 years with our company, and I've worked at a number of hotels over my years. This is probably the most exciting staff that I've ever been involved with. I was telling you earlier that as we've opened the doors these past couple of months, we find out we have a plumbing problem here or a hot water problem there. You know, the building's been setting now for over 2.5, 3 years, and when you turn the facility on, you find things that you didn't anticipate are starting to happen. Well, that's happening a little bit, but I got to tell you, there are people really overcoming any kinds of mistakes that we're making in that regard, and all I'm hearing is that you got the friendliest staff in Hawaii. You got to be very, very proud of the people that work for you, and we know that that's really going to be the trademark of this property is the aloha and hospitality that's provided by our staff, by our associates.
You know, Brad, when you're driving into work, when you're reading about the Kauai Marriott Hotel, and especially because of the fact that it's a very, very positive thing for the community, as the leader of the associates and as the leader here of the Kauai Marriott, how do you feel to be, you know, to be so well received, not only for yourself, but to have your employees really being complimented on by many of the guests and the island folks that travel throughout your resort?
Well, I think it makes us very, very proud, and you know, personally, this has been the most rewarding experience that I've had in my 20 years with the company. Anytime you open a hotel from the ground floor up, to me, that's an exceptional experience. And then to come into a very small community such as Kauai and have the sort of reception that we've had here, it just really adds to all the excitement and all the thrill of opening up this beautiful resort again.
You've all worked extremely hard. I know that days off, especially in the hotel industry, is very, very far and few. You don't sometimes realize if it's a Saturday, if it's a Sunday, if it's a Monday morning, or if it's a Monday evening. Sometimes you're behind closed doors. There's a lot of people that contributed to the success of your resort, not only the employees, but the community itself. What would you like to say to many of your supporters there, the people of the islands of Kauai and Niihau, for your particular property?
Well, it's just been true, since May of 1994 when we first announced that we were going to buy the property. From that point on, we just had tremendous support from the people of Kauai, from the mayor's office all the way through the county government. We've had tremendous support in helping with permits and whatever that it may take to open up the property. We just want to say mahalo to everyone that's been involved with our project. We've tried to support as many local vendors as we possibly can, and we will continue to do that into the future. And I can't think of a better place personally to live and raise my family. And I think a lot of the new managers that we have on property are feeling the very same way right now. So Kauai, thank you very much. We're going to be here many, many years, and we're hoping to be a big part of the community and help get the economy back on its feet again.
And Brad Snyder, we would like to thank you personally, as well as all of your associates and the people that make this fine property run, for inviting us to come over to show the viewing audience and the people of Kauai what this property is all about. And I want to thank all of you for taking your time out from your very busy schedule to join us here at Vala'au.
Dickie, it's always my pleasure to have you over. Thank you.
Mahalo. That was Brad Snyder, General Manager here at the Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club. Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Bob Andalora. This is my wife Sharon. We've been coming to this property since 1985. We came here on our honeymoon when it was a Kauai surf, and we've been coming here every year since.
We really enjoyed it as the Kauai surf, and then again as the Westin. However, the Kauai Marriott is the best of both worlds. It has really added the Kauai feeling and look to it. It almost seems like it's our second honeymoon.
And you can be sure that we'll be coming back every year from now on.
We certainly enjoyed our visit with Kauai's newest neighbor and friends. Strolling through the property certainly brought back many fond memories. Best wishes to the ohana at the Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club. We'd like to leave you with this beautiful song written and composed by Auntie Sarah Ka'ilikea, simply entitled Aloha.
Aloha, thank you for calling the Kauai Marriott and Beach Club. This is Lehua, and how may I help you?
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode on Vala'au. If you haven't had the chance yet to visit the beautiful Kauai Marriott Resort and Beach Club, go ahead and check them out, see your old-time friends. I think you'll be very, very pleasantly surprised with what they've done to the property. I'd like to say a special haole lahanau out there to Kathleen Higa of Kathleen's Glass Shop in Kapa'a, to Rico Faye Tanaguchi from Lehui, to Raymond Henry from Kalaheo, and last but not least to Big Dave Burgess in Poipu. We hope to see you all very, very soon. Continue to spread the aloha spirit throughout the Garden Island, and until next week, Vala'au!